Suez Canal blockage relief efforts have now entered their fifth day, as authorities work to pry the Ever Given, a 400-meter-long supertanker, from its banks. Workers have now drawn up a new plan as ships take the long route around Africa. The Suez Canal, one of the most vital seafaring trade routes in the world, has been blocked since March 23. The culprit, the MV Ever Given, became stuck between its banks during inclement weather in the region and has confounded local authorities. They are now trying every method available to remove the 400-meter-long supertanker and free up more than $9 billion in daily trade. In a bid to allow a traffic jam of more than 200 ships to pass through the trade artery, shipping authorities have proposed using the tides to their advantage. The president of Suez Canal, the ship's owners, said yesterday there was no sign of internal damage, and all the Ever Given needed to do was float again. The ship is currently trapped in dirt and sediment which is holding the bow and stern in place. Yukato Higaki said this latest plan could shift the tanker by the weekend, adding, "The ship is not taking water. There is no problem with its rudders and propellers. Once it refloats, it should be able to operate. We are continuing work to remove sediment as of now, with additional dredging tools." Alan Murphy, the founder of Sea Intelligence, a maritime data and analysis company, said, "Look around you. 90% of what's in the room came from China. All global retail trade moves in containers, or 90% of it. So everything is impacted. Name any brand name, and they will be stuck on one of those vessels." Experts say the best chance of the ship being released will come on Monday when a spring tide will raise the canal's water level by up to about 18 inches. Analysts say the shipping industry can absorb the inconvenience if this is the case, but if the ship is stuck for longer there could be major disruption. The president of Suez Canal, the Japanese company that owns the ship, said it aimed to have the vessel released by Saturday night. Two more large tugboats are due to arrive on Sunday in the quest to help free the boat. Based on data from 2020, some 51.5 ships traverse the canal each day, amounting to a staggering 18,500 ships, carrying a net tonnage of 1.17 billion tons. Estimates suggest 321 ships are waiting to transit through the canal. By Friday at least 160 ships carrying fuel and cargo were said to be stuck, but that number will have increased. Egypt's Suez Canal Authority chief, Osama Rabi, confirmed efforts to dislodge the ship saw its stern and rudder move. However, the official couldn't confirm when Ever Given would be floating once more. Mr. Rabi added he hoped it wouldn't be necessary to resort to removing the hundreds of cargo containers on board the 200,000-ton ship. Authorities have resumed their attempts to refloat the Ever Given. They started at roughly 2:30 p.m. local time, 12:30 p.m. GMT, and will attempt to dislodge the ship at high tide. Should they fail, rescue efforts will continue again tomorrow afternoon. If tugs fail to prise the Ever Given from the canal's banks, the next step is to use a crane. Peter Berdovsky, chief executive of Bosklies, which is assisting rescue efforts, said workers would need to shift the boat's weight to help it float again. He said, "If we don't succeed in getting it loose next week, we will have to remove some 600 containers from the boat to reduce the weight. That will set us back days at least, because where to leave all those containers will be quite a puzzle." A vast queue of freight vessels are currently stuck at the canal's north and south entryways. At least 20 of these vessels are currently carrying livestock, according to freight trackers and NGOs. Peter Stevenson, Chief Policy Officer at Compassion in World Farming, revealed while this isn't an immediate problem, over time the animals could create a biohazard time bomb. He told Bloomberg, "I wouldn't expect just after a 2-day delay for a problem to have built up. It's as time goes by that the problems get worse. Occasionally, there are real scandals when things go wrong, but it's a day, 2-day horror. My greatest fear is that animals run out of food and water and they get stuck on the ships because they cannot be unloaded somewhere else for paperwork reasons. Getting stuck on board means there is a risk of starvation, dehydration, injuries, waste buildup so they can't lie down, and nor can the crew get rid of dead animal bodies in the canal. It's basically a ticking biohazard time bomb for animals and the crew and any person involved. Consumers could soon foot the bill for the Suez blockage, say business operators. The Cotswold Company, which sells furniture imported from Asian countries, would traditionally ship its stock through the trade artery. But the blockage has stalled their business, and Alan Joseph, the firm's operations director, said rerouting ships could cause unexpected costs. He told Sky News, "For our business, delays to freight coming in from anywhere means that we have to be careful that the promises we're making to our customers about when stock arrives are accurate. And also that we managed to keep availability and our next day delivery promises." He added, "From a cost point of view, we're anticipating that we will see costs increase unexpectedly from vessels that have to reroute and find another way around. For those of us who are interested in offsetting our carbon emissions and take responsibility for the movement of freight, we'll also need to consider that these journeys will now incur much pollution as part of the normal operation." Some ships have attempted to flee the growing queue at the canal's lower entrance by traversing Africa. Danish shipping company Maersk has announced 22 of its vessels would reroute around the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. A spokesperson for the company said, "We are closely monitoring the development of the floating operations of the affected vessel to better assess the measures to be taken to mitigate the delay of the affected cargo. The longer it takes to re-float the vessel, the greater the risk that we'll see serious bottlenecks in ports in Northern Europe, and the bigger the hurdle to clean up." International leaders have also offered their help as the crisis grows, treating global trade. Among them was US President Joe Biden, who offered his country's vast resources. Speaking from Delaware this weekend, he said, "We have equipment and capacity that most countries don't have, and we are seeing what help we can be."